The shuttle's engines hummed softly as it docked at the Concordance station, the gateway to galactic diplomacy. Elena D'Amico adjusted the cuffs of her navy suit and stepped into the bustling concourse. The air shimmered faintly, filtered by environmental controls to accommodate over 200 species. Towering insectoids clicked mandibles in heated debate, aquatic beings glided through containment fields, and metallic-skinned sentinels moved with eerie precision. Humanity's presence here was as new as it was fragile. "Elena! Over here!" Tarvik scurried forward on his 6 legs, his antennae twitching in quick bursts. The Creek aide carried a datapad and wore his usual expression of exasperated efficiency. "Nice to see you too, Tarvik," Elena said with a faint smile. "What's the damage?" "The Scourge Imperium has declared formal intent to annex the Ophiuchus system. They're moving fast, leveraging their influence among the fracturing blocks." He handed her the datapad. "The assembly meets in 2 hours. I've outlined the key delegates, but you'll need more than charm to win this one." Elena scanned the data as they walked. Ophiuchus was a resource-rich system critical to Concordance trade routes. Losing it to the Scourge would shatter the fragile balance of power. "What's the mood among the neutral delegates?" "Split. Fear runs high, and the Scourge promises stability. A tempting offer when you're staring down the galaxy's most relentless empire. Fear's their weapon. We'll need to counter with hope and a plan." Tarvik made a clicking noise that Elena had learned was his version of skepticism. "Just try not to get humanity blamed for anything." Again. The assembly hall loomed ahead, a vast chamber where voices from across the galaxy collided. Elena adjusted her posture as they entered, her confidence a practiced facade. Lord Valcor stood near the center, his imposing figure clad in ceremonial black. His crimson eyes scanned the room like a predator surveying prey. "Elena D'Amico," Valcor said as she approached. His voice was smooth, each word carrying calculated menace. "Humanity's envoy graces us at last. I was beginning to think Earth had forgotten its responsibilities." "Good to see you too, Lord Valcor," Elena replied lightly. "I hear congratulations are in order. Annexing Ophiuchus without a single shot fired? Impressive, if true." Valcor's lip curled in a predatory smile. "The galaxy values strength, not empty words. Humanity would do well to learn this." "Strength takes many forms," Elena said. "Some prefer unity over subjugation." Their exchange drew murmurs from the gathered delegates. Elena caught the eye of Rezzak, a Rulon mathematician known for his impartiality. He inclined his head subtly, a possible ally. As the assembly convened, Elena addressed the delegates. "Esteemed representatives, humanity stands with the Concordance in opposing aggression. Ophiuchus is not merely a star system, it's a symbol of our shared commitment to peace and prosperity. Allowing its annexation would embolden the Scourge, setting a dangerous precedent." Valcor rose to counter her. "Spare us the platitudes, human. The Imperium offers stability where chaos reigns. Your kind speaks of unity but lacks the strength to enforce it. Words alone will not save Ophiuchus." The chamber buzzed with tension. Elena remained calm, her gaze sweeping the room. If the Concordance allows one member to dominate through fear, how long before others fall? Today, it's Ophiuchus. Tomorrow, it could be your systems. Her words resonated with some, but not all. The assembly adjourned with no resolution, and Elena left feeling the weight of the task ahead. Tarvik met her outside. "Not bad. You've planted seeds, but Valcor's already working behind the scenes. He's meeting with key blocks tonight." "Then we need to stay ahead," Elena said. "Who's open to a private discussion?" Later that evening, Elena met with Rezzak and 2 other representatives in a quiet lounge. The alien delegates expressed concerns about humanity's ability to lead, but Elena's candid approach won them over. "Humans are unpredictable," Rezzak said. "Why should we trust your gambit against the Imperium?" "Because unpredictability is our strength," Elena replied. "The Scourge expects conformity. Let's give them something they can't anticipate, an alliance strong enough to make them think twice. Their talks ended with tentative support. As Elena and Tarvik returned to their quarters, a sudden explosion rocked the station. Alarms blared, and the corridors filled with panicked delegates. "What now?" Tarvik hissed, his antennae twitching wildly. Elena grabbed her comm device. "Find out what happened. Now." Reports trickled in, an explosion in the docking bay, initial evidence pointing to a human device. Elena's stomach sank. It was the perfect excuse for the Scourge to discredit humanity. The next morning, the assembly reconvened in a storm of accusations. Valcor wasted no time. "This is what humanity brings to the Concordance," he declared, holding up a hologram of the alleged device. "Chaos and sabotage." Elena stood. "These accusations are baseless. Humanity condemns violence in all forms. We demand a thorough investigation." "A convenient delay while you cover your tracks," Valcor sneered. Elena locked eyes with him. "The Concordance values truth. Let the investigation proceed, and let the evidence speak. If humanity is guilty, we will face the consequences. But if not, I expect the same accountability from you." Her calm defiance silenced the chamber. As the session ended, an anonymous message pinged on Elena's comm, *, the evidence was planted. "Look deeper, *. Tarvik," she said, showing him the message. "We've got work to do." The creak clicked in resignation. "I assume this means no sleep?" "Not until we find the truth." Elena's eyes hardened. The stakes had never been higher. The dim corridors of the Concordance station hummed with activity as Elena D'Amico and Tarvik moved briskly toward the security division. The anonymous message burned in Elena's mind, *, the evidence was planted. "Look deeper, *, she couldn't ignore it." "Do you think it's a trap?" Tarvik asked, his antennae twitching with agitation. "Maybe," Elena admitted, "but if we don't follow this lead, we're handing Valcor the victory." The security office was sterile and cold, staffed by a multi-species team working under the station's strict neutrality protocols. Elena was greeted by Commander Zynash, a broad-shouldered reptilian officer with scales the color of molten gold. "We're conducting a thorough investigation," Zynash said curtly, his tone suggesting he had no patience for diplomatic interference. "I'm sure you are," Elena replied evenly. "But humanity has a stake in this. I'd like access to the evidence." Zynash hissed softly, a sign of reluctance. "Protocol prohibits such involvement, but," he scrutinized her carefully. "If the evidence exonerates humanity, it would spare me a political nightmare. Follow me." The commander led them to a secure room where fragments of the explosive device were displayed holographically. Elena studied the intricate circuitry, her mind racing. "This design isn't human," Tarvik said, clicking in thought. "Too refined. We don't manufacture detonators with this kind of energy modulation." Zynash's slit eyes narrowed. "Do you have proof of that?" "Not yet," Elena said, snapping an image of the hologram with her comm device. "But give me a few hours." Back in her quarters, Elena and Tarvik pored over the data. The design didn't match any human schematics, but proving it wasn't enough, they needed to connect it to the Scourge. Tarvik suddenly straightened. "Look here. The energy signature. It's faint, but it resembles a rare isotope used by the Scourge fleet." Elena leaned in, her heart quickening. "How rare?" "Rare enough that it doesn't occur naturally in this sector. If we can trace its origin, we can tie it to Valcor," Elena finished, her mind already spinning with possibilities. Before they could act, her comm buzzed with an urgent message from Rezak. *, meet me in the atrium. Bring no one else, *. The atrium was quiet at this late hour, its crystalline walls refracting soft starlight. Elena found Rezak seated on a low bench, his furred hands folded tightly. "I don't have much time," he said, his voice low. "Valcor has allies in unexpected places. He's bribed several delegates, but more troubling is his control over certain Concordance staff. Elena frowned. How do you know this? I have my ways, Rezak said cryptically. But you didn't hear it from me. He hesitated, then added, be careful, Elena. If Valkor senses you're close to exposing him, he won't hesitate to silence you. Elena nodded. Thanks, Rezak. I owe you one. Just make sure you're still here to collect. The next day, Elena took her findings to Commander Zynash. He confirmed that the isotope in the explosive matched a batch recently imported under forged documents. The trail led to a Scourge freighter docked at the station. Confronting Valkor directly was risky, but Elena had no choice. The assembly was already abuzz with whispers of humanity's culpability. If she didn't act now, the Scourge narrative would solidify. In the Grand Chamber, she requested an emergency session. The delegates murmured as Elena stood to address them. I have compelling evidence that the explosion in the docking bay was orchestrated, not by humanity, but by the Scourge Imperium, she began. Gasps rippled through the room. Valkor's expression darkened, but he remained seated, his crimson eyes fixed on her. This, Elena continued, projecting a hologram of the explosive design, is the device used in the attack. Its energy signature matches a rare isotope imported under falsified documents. She gestured to Zynash, who stepped forward to corroborate her findings. The evidence points to a Scourge freighter currently docked at this station, the commander confirmed. Valkor rose slowly, his imposing figure commanding attention. A convenient accusation, human, he said, his voice dripping with disdain. But circumstantial evidence does not equate to guilt. If you seek to discredit the Imperium, you'll need more than baseless conjecture. Elena met his gaze, unflinching. The Concordance demands transparency. I propose a full inspection of the Scourge freighter. If there's nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Valkor's lips curled into a predatory smile. Very well. Let the inspection proceed. But mark my words, D'Amico, your insolence will have consequences. The inspection team, led by Zynash, boarded the Scourge freighter under heavy scrutiny. Elena waited anxiously in the observation room, her mind racing through contingencies. Hours passed before Zynash returned, his golden scales shimmering under the harsh lights. We found components matching the explosive device, he announced, his tone grim. The assembly erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, some demanding action against the Scourge, others urging caution. Valkor, unperturbed, stood amidst the uproar. The Imperium does not condone rogue actions. If such components were aboard our freighter, they were placed there without authorization. We will investigate and punish those responsible. Elena saw through his facade. This was damage control, a calculated retreat to deflect blame. She stepped forward. The Scourge has manipulated this assembly long enough, she said firmly. Their tactics are clear: sow discord, exploit fear, and consolidate power. It's time we stood united against such aggression. Her words resonated with many, but Valkor wasn't done. Bold claims, human, he said smoothly. But boldness without strength is foolishness. The galaxy watches closely. Choose your next move wisely. As the session adjourned, Elena returned to her quarters, exhaustion threatening to overtake her. Tarvik greeted her with a rare smile. You did well today, he said. It's not over yet, Elena replied. Valkor won't stop. We need to rally more support, and fast. Tarvik's antennae twitched in agreement. Then let's get to work. Elena sank into her chair, determination hardening her resolve. The Scourge might have power, but she had something they underestimated, the will to fight for what was right. The Concordance Assembly Hall was abuzz with tension. Elena D'Amico sat at her desk, a mixture of exhaustion and determination etched on her face. Tarvik stood beside her, tapping furiously on his datapad. The explosive evidence tied to the Scourge freighter had stirred the assembly, but Valkor's calculated deflections kept the Imperium in play. Elena, Tarvik muttered, his voice low. Reports are coming in. Scourge ships are massing near the Ophiuchus system. They're forcing the Concordants to act quickly, either appease them or face conflict. Elena straightened. They're trying to create a false urgency, driving us into a decision before we can unify the assembly. Exactly. And worse, their propaganda machine is spinning this as a defense against a human conspiracy. Tarvik's antennae twitched in frustration. Elena stood, her eyes narrowing. We're not letting them control the narrative. Call an emergency session. I'm not done yet. The delegates filed into the grand chamber, their expressions a mix of weariness and wariness. Elena watched as Valcor entered, his every step exuding confidence. He glanced at her briefly, his smirk daring her to challenge him. As the assembly quieted, Elena rose. Esteemed representatives, the evidence against the Scourge is undeniable. Their freighter carried components used in the attack. Yet instead of accountability, we see escalation, military movements designed to intimidate and divide. Valcor rose smoothly, his voice calm yet commanding. The Imperium does not act on rumors or baseless allegations. We seek only stability in a chaotic galaxy. The Ophiuchus system's annexation is not aggression but necessity, a move to prevent disorder from spreading. Elena's voice cut through the murmurs. Stability under your rule, perhaps. But what happens to the voices that disagree? The cultures you subjugate? The freedoms you crush? The hall erupted in debate, voices clashing over ideals and fears. Elena scanned the room, gauging allies and opponents. She knew this moment was critical. Elena, Tarvik whispered urgently, pulling her aside. Rezak sent a message. He's uncovered something big, direct communications from Valcor to his operatives on the freighter. It's the smoking gun. Her heart raced. Can he get it here in time? He's on his way, but Valcor will sense the shift if we stall too long. Elena turned back to the assembly. We need action, yes. But action grounded in truth, not fear. I propose an immediate investigation into the Scourge's military buildup. If they truly seek stability, they'll cooperate. If not, their intentions are clear. Valcor's crimson eyes locked onto her. And what of humanity's intentions? Your species is new to this stage, yet you posture as if you hold the galaxy's wisdom. Tell us, Ambassador, what does Earth bring to this table besides chaos? Elena's voice remained steady. We bring perspective, a willingness to fight for ideals, not empires. Humanity knows the cost of war and the value of peace. That's what we offer. The chamber buzzed with uncertainty. Delegates leaned toward one another, whispering, debating. Valcor seemed poised to speak again when the doors opened abruptly. Rezak entered, carrying a secured datapad. Elena, he said, his tone urgent. The evidence you needed. She took the pad, her eyes scanning its contents. The encrypted files were damning, direct orders from Valcor to orchestrate the explosion and blame humanity. Elena turned to the assembly. What you're about to see will end any doubt about the Scourge's intentions. She projected the data onto the central display. The room fell silent as the incriminating communications played. Valcor's voice, cold and calculating, filled the air. The explosion will force the Concordance's hand. Humanity will be discredited, and Ophiuchus will fall without resistance. The reaction was immediate. Gasps, outrage, and disbelief echoed through the chamber. Valcor's facade cracked for a brief moment before he regained his composure. These files are fabricated, he said smoothly, though his tone lacked its usual confidence. A desperate attempt by humanity to shift blame. Commander Zynash stood. The files have been verified. The encryption matches Scourge protocols. Delegates turned on Valcor, their anger palpable. This is an act of war, shouted one. Enough lies, Valcor, demanded another. Valcor's eyes burned with fury as he realized his position was untenable. You think this changes anything? He snarled. The Imperium's strength is unmatched. Oppose us, and you'll learn the price of defiance. Elena stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Threats won't save you. The Concordance was built to stand against tyranny. Today, we prove its strength. The assembly erupted into a unified chant, "Sanctions! Sanctions!" In the hours that followed, resolutions were passed with unprecedented speed. The Scourge Imperium faced diplomatic isolation, trade embargoes, and military deterrence. The Concordance united as never before, their collective strength eclipsing the Scourge's influence. As the hall emptied, Elena leaned against a pillar, exhaustion finally catching up to her. Tarvik joined her, his expression a mix of relief and pride. "You did it," he said simply. "We did it," Elena corrected. Rezzak approached, his usual calm replaced by a rare smile. "You've proven humanity's worth today, Elena. The Concordance owes you more than it knows." Elena shook her head. "We owe each other. That's how we win." Later, as she gazed out at the stars, Elena allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The battle was far from over. The Scourge would regroup, and new challenges would arise. But for now, the galaxy had chosen unity over fear. And humanity had found its place among the stars.